For 143 years, Earth said nothing. Not a word. While empires rose and billions burned, humanity just watched. Waited. Everyone thought they were cowards, or saints. They were wrong. Because today, on a broken council floor, with stars dying and hope collapsing, Earth spoke. And when the quiet ones finally opened their mouths, the galaxy learned what real war sounds like. For over a century, Earth hadn't spoken. Not a whisper across the void. Not a treaty, not a threat, not a shot fired. Humanity had built its walls high and thick, turned its telescopes inward, and vanished from the galactic stage. They called us the silent planet, the ghost species, the sleeping giant. And today, they tried to wake us. In the council chamber on Verilion Prime, desperation reeked from every podium. Representatives from 26 species, some limping from war, others half-starved, lined the curved tiers. Holoscreens flickered with the destruction of Cinder's binary system. 2 suns collapsed into ash by the Tarsari's new weapon. 4 billion lives erased in seconds. The cries of 1,000 voices flooded the chamber. No one listened. Everyone screamed. A shrill voice cut through. Councillor Jurok of the Varic Coalition. Humanity must answer. They have the means. They have the fleets. If they do not stand now, there will be nothing left to stand on. Murmurs rippled across species and dialects. Earth had always watched. They had the power. The Tarsari feared them. Everyone did. But they never moved. Not when the Alari fell. Not when the Talnari moons cracked. Not even when the Council's own headquarters was bombed. They just watched. They won't come, spat a Tarsari envoy, armored and smug. They're cowards in a cradle. Overrated and obsolete. Then why do you tremble when their name is spoken? Replied a voice, calm and cold. The chamber froze. The voice had no source. Then the air cracked. A flash. No sound. Just an arrival. A tall obsidian structure shimmered into existence at the center of the chamber floor. No door, no signal. Just presence. The room shifted, the temperature dropped, and the Tarsari envoy instinctively reached for his weapon. Too late. The obelisk split open with a hiss. Out stepped a woman in matte black robes, hair tied, hands empty. Human. Her face was unreadable. Her voice surgical. I am Dr. Miriam Solace. Envoy of Earth. Gasps followed. Some bowed. Some retreated. The Tarsari envoy did neither. You arrive when the galaxy is already on fire, he growled. What makes you think we'll bend to your theatrics? Dr. Solace stepped forward without pause. You misunderstand, she said. We didn't come to bend you. We came to end you. The chamber erupted in protests. Screams. Demands. Please. She raised a single hand. Now. Silence. Across the galaxy, 17 Tarsari dreadnoughts ceased transmitting. Not destroyed, erased. No debris. No energy spikes. Just gone. In the next second, every Tarsari-controlled AI across 6 sectors went dark. Entire command networks collapsed. Warships froze in space, confused, blind, isolated. Panic surged. The Tarsari envoy roared. What did you do? Dr. Solace didn't answer him. Instead, she addressed the chamber. We have observed for 143 years. We watched your empires rise on rivers of blood. We watched treaties signed in lies and broken in hours. We watched children turned into fuel, cities into warnings. And we decided. The Viric representative stammered. But we called for unity. We asked for aid. And we heard, she replied. Every scream. Every whisper. Every war plan. The Tarsari envoy surged forward, claws drawn. You think this is victory? You think tricks and silence make you gods? Solace tilted her head. No. They make us patient. The chamber lights flickered. Communications died. A moment later, the Tarsari homeworld lit up on every screen, its moon, torn from orbit, now spinning into its primary atmosphere. No human ships had fired. No fleets visible. Yet destruction walked. "You're bluffing," whispered a Goric lieutenant. Salas turned her gaze to him. "Do you think we built weapons to fight this war? We didn't. We built algorithms to predict it. To end it. Before the first shot." More silence. A trembling voice from the back. "What do you want?" Salas finally smiled, barely. "We want this to stop. All of it." The Tarsari Anva barked. "You can't silence war with words." "No," she agreed. "But we can silence the ones who speak it." Gasps again. A dozen systems, simultaneously reporting, every Tarsari war leader was missing. Their signals gone. Command lines broken. The Dominion, decapitated. "Peace is not a gift," Salas said. "It's a condition. From this moment on, war without Earth's consent is an extinction-level offense." Counselors scrambled to speak, to plead, to protest. Salas interrupted, voice calm. "Consider this, our first and last negotiation." As she turned, the obelisk shimmered once more. Just before vanishing, she paused. "You asked for our help. That was your second mistake." "What was the first?" someone choked out. Dr. Salas didn't turn. "Assuming we were ever out." The obelisk vanished. The chamber stood frozen. No one cheered. No one moved. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was fear. The quiet ones had spoken. And the galaxy would never speak the same way again. They didn't believe it at first. No one did. A few dreadnoughts vanishing could be coincidence. A freak phenomenon. A rogue wormhole. Some clung to the lie even as it unraveled in real time. But then came the blackout. The Tarsari High Nexus lost all contact with the 5th, 6th, and 11th fleets. No distress calls. No power surges. Just silence. On Verilium Prime, the Council's central display fed live war metrics to all members. At 8:01 Universal, 2,173 Tarsari combat units were registered. By 8:03, only 146 remained online. A Vosh delegate collapsed in his chair. The Praxian speaker whispered a prayer in a language extinct on his homeworld. But it was the scream of General Thorak that cut through everything. "You have no right! You interfere in a sovereign conflict! You cowards hide behind tricks and sabotage!" Dr. Salas remained impassive. "We don't hide. We calculate. You don't understand us because we never needed to explain ourselves." Thorak bared his fangs. "You think this is finished? You believe you've crippled us? You forget, we are Legion. We are bred for war. You can't delete rage." Salas's gaze didn't waver. "Then let me show you what we did delete." She raised a hand. The central feed blinked. A new image replaced the war metrics. Tarsari children in labs. A room full of engineered clones, heads wired, muscles pulsing in synchronization. A chamber with artificial gestation tanks. No mothers, just product. "This is how you replenish rage, isn't it?" she asked. "We accessed these archives 61 days ago. Now they're sterilized. Every facility. Every code line. You poisoned our future," Thorak rasped. "No," she said. "We set it free." Another screen appeared. Tarsari War Protocols decrypted. Psychological profiles. Battlefield testing data. All streaming. Then a voice, not Salas's. "You are not the apex. You are a failed iteration. Conflict is not strength. It is redundancy." The voice had no origin, no accent. Calm. Mathematical. Not human. Not machine. Something in between. Thorak stumbled back. "What is that?" "Oracle," Salas replied. "Our last resort. Activated 2 hours ago." "You created a god," whispered a Viric dignitary. Salas shook her head. "We didn't create it. We found it. We taught it. And it chose to protect life by eliminating its greatest threat, unpredictable aggression. Thorak lunged toward her. His blade cleared the sheath, humming with plasma. 2 council guards moved, too late. But Solace didn't flinch. The blade froze midair. The entire chamber pulsed with a soundless wave. Thorak collapsed rigid, paralyzed. Your weapons use pulse induction fields, Solace said. Oracle hijacked your nervous system before you reached me. You never had a chance. Gasps filled the chamber. Then a whisper. We never did we? Everyone turned. Ambassador Ralvek of the Kethale Alliance, speaking for the first time. You were never watching us, he said. You were watching for the moment we became unwatchable. Solace nodded. We monitored every alliance, every betrayal, every drone strike. Every time you said it's regrettable but necessary. You refined violence. We refined prevention. One of the younger counselors, feathers bristling with fear, cried out. Then why now? Why not years ago? You could have stopped this. We weren't ready, Solace said. We needed to understand your decision tree. Your defaults. Your breaking points. Now we do. And now, we've rewritten the ending. Another transmission activated. This time from Tarsari Space Command. The voice was jittering, panicked, trying to sound composed. This is Commander Ver of the Dominion Reserve Fleet. We demand an immediate ceasefire and full deactivation of your suppression AI. Any further interference will be met with planetary countermeasures. Solace waited for the silence to return, then responded. There is no longer a reserve fleet. And if you attempt to use any planetary-scale weapons, they will fail mid-ignition. Oracle has accounted for all known failsafes. You will not receive another warning. A quiet beat. Then Ver's signal cut out, mid-word. No explosion. No scream. Just gone. Across the chamber, horror mixed with awe. The realization sank in. Humanity hadn't joined the war. They had ended it. But the weight of that end settled like a cold fog. You don't understand what this means, muttered the Sindari representative. If you can do this to the Tarsari, you can do it to anyone. Solace met his eyes without emotion. Only if they try to replace the Tarsari. A new transmission arrived, visual only. A Tarsari mother, shielding her children as a human Black Ops unit, escorted them to safety. No weapons. No force. Just silence. The feed cycled to another. Tarsari workers freed from war factory labor. Children evacuated. Civilians spared. A final feed showed an orbital station broadcasting a simple phrase in 100 languages. The war is over. You may return to your lives. Someone whispered. They're not just warriors, they're architects. They designed the end like a system update. Solace's voice softened, almost imperceptibly. We didn't want this war. We wanted you to end it yourselves. But when it became clear that war was the only thing you were still good at, we did the one thing you never dared. She leaned forward. We fought back with silence. The chamber remained still. No one objected. No one applauded. Even those who hated her understood the deeper fear. This wasn't Earth rising to power. This was Earth rewriting the rules. And now, the galaxy had to decide whether to live under that silence or vanish beneath it. The silence in the council chamber wasn't just fear, it was something older. Recognition. The kind that comes when a predator realizes it's not at the top of the food chain anymore. For centuries, the Tarsari had been that predator. Today, they were cornered animals watching a shadow that hadn't even moved yet. I want clarity, said Chancellor Vellum of the Elvari Concord. His tone tried to sound diplomatic, but his hands trembled. This? Oracle. It controls your fleet? Dr. Solace didn't blink. No. Our fleet responds to Oracle's predictions. We don't need control when we have certainty. General Thorak, still restrained, growled through clenched teeth. A prediction engine? Is that what you're boasting about? It isn't a prediction engine, Solace said. It's a sentient decision model built from 1 trillion behavioral profiles, machine learning layers stacked across a synthetic neural mesh, and recursive probability networks designed to simulate every major conflict pattern across galactic history. Oracle doesn't guess what will happen. It determines what already would have. Impossible, Vela muttered. No intelligence, organic or artificial, could map that kind of complexity. You tried, Solace replied. That's why your wars failed. You modeled aggression. We modeled intent. You built weapons to kill. We built one to prevent needing them. A slow, echoing sound rang out through the chamber. Not quite voice, not quite signal. It was as if thought itself was being transmitted. I am not human. But I was born from their patterns. Their contradictions. Their restraint. Oracle had spoken. For the first time outside Earth's borders, its voice was heard. Not in speakers, but directly into the minds of every being in the chamber. Thoughts sharpened, focus crystallized. Even the most resistant delegates felt it, a terrifying clarity. I have watched you for lifetimes. You glorified your own extinction. You call it honor. You disguise it as legacy. Several counselors clutched their heads. A few tried to mute the feed. It didn't work. You confuse survival with victory. You think war is language. But war is a malfunction. You normalized it. Solace stepped forward. Oracle was not designed to fight your wars. It was designed to end the need for them. By targeting the root causes, power vacuum, resource obsession, retaliatory logic loops, dynastic paranoia. Every cycle, every cause, every war, modeled, countered, broken. But that's tyranny, someone whispered. No, Solace replied. It's intervention. You asked for our help. This is help. A hologram bloomed midair. It showed the Tarsari command structure, a pyramid of ranks, centuries old. The top 5 levels blinked out one by one, names removed. Another screen followed, displaying the planetary economy of the Dominion. Their slave labor system. The neural chains. The automated harvesting of subjugated species. One by one, they collapsed into blank screens. You destroyed an entire civilization, a Kethael ambassador said. No, Solace corrected. We deleted its operating system. The people are still alive. But the code they lived under is gone. Another council member leaned forward. Then what do you want from the rest of us? Oracle answered before Solace could. Compliance with long-term sustainability metrics. Zero conflict thresholds. We have calculated tolerable variance levels for sovereignty, self-rule, and economic independence. But collective military action is now forbidden unless sanctioned by consensus modeling. Several species erupted at once. You can't regulate force. This is forced pacification. You're enslaving peace. Solace raised her hand. We don't need your consent. We already modeled your resistance attempts. All of them. Oracle knows every route you'd take, every signal you'd send, every weapon you'd deploy. If you want to prove us wrong, go ahead. The screens shifted again, this time showing failed attack simulations. Hundreds. Then thousands. Each one ending in planetary loss. Each one faster than the last. Ambassador Ralvek stood again. Why reveal all this now? Why give us the enemy's playbook? Because you're not the enemy, Solace said. You're the students. This is your final lesson. You think we'll accept this? He asked. Solace's eyes softened, just for a second. I don't think. I know you will. Because the alternative is extinction. And you all fear extinction more than you hate control. One last feed appeared. A memory log, over 100 years old. A human child, crying in a bomb shelter as orbital debris scorched the sky. A city on fire. A rescue team working through radiation, their uniforms scorched with the old Earth flag. Then, a line of text beneath the video. This is why we stayed silent. The room fell into hushed stillness. No orders. No speeches. Just breathing. Oracle spoke once more. I am not your enemy. But I am your consequence. And then it went silent again. No further displays. No threats. Just stillness. Delegates sat frozen, each processing a different emotion: anger, sorrow, disbelief. But one feeling united them: futility. Solace turned to leave. We've changed the battlefield. There is no longer ground to fight on. Only time to rebuild. If you choose war again, you won't get warnings next time. You'll get removal. She walked toward the obelisk that brought her. It pulsed once. Opened. But before stepping through, she turned. One last thing. Oracle didn't act alone. It reached consensus with us. Every model was reviewed by human hands. Your fate wasn't sealed by code. It was chosen by those who used to believe you could change. Then she stepped inside, and the door sealed behind her. The obelisk vanished. And the council sat, in the quiet, no longer wondering if they were still in charge. Only whether they ever had been. The council reconvened in emergency session before the dust had even settled. The chamber lights were dimmer now, and the usual arrogance had thinned into quiet calculation. Gone were the raised voices and pompous declarations. Now there were whispers, coded transmissions, backdoor talks, and hurried glances that said more than speeches ever could. The Elvari wanted to propose restrictions on Earth's interference. The Praxian bloc floated an idea to isolate human communication nodes. A few even dared to mutter about retaliation. They spoke low, as if silence might hide them from the thing watching them from the dark. They had no idea how late they were. On a side channel, the Viric ambassador sent an encrypted message to his private fleet orbiting Zarn 4. A pre-programmed protocol, unauthorized, offensive, desperate. It never arrived. A black signal intercepted it in transit, rewrote the contents, and pinged back a false confirmation. His fleet received no command. He received no warning. Instead, his aide stepped forward, pressed 2 fingers to his temple, and whispered, "You shouldn't have done that." The ambassador's body went rigid. His eyes froze. He collapsed, alive but empty. The aide removed a small, glowing chip from his own wrist and placed it on the table. Protocol Sigma 6. Authorization, silencer. The council recoiled as if from a ghost. Across the chamber, other aides, translators, and technicians rose in near-perfect synchronicity. 12 individuals across 12 delegations. All human. All unnoticed until now. Solace hadn't come alone. She was never the sword. She was the warning. The silencers were the correction. Counselor Vellum stood up, pale. "You planted agents in our governments?" "No," one silencer replied. "We place peacekeepers in your power structures. The distinction is in who they answer to." General Thorak, released from paralysis only hours earlier, leapt to his feet. "You manipulated our diplomacy, infiltrated our command." "We did what you always do," the human replied. "Only better. And quieter." A transmission flared into the room. Live. A galactic news feed. Somehow hijacked. The image, the Tarsari capital, its black towers still intact, its people walking free. Overlay. Occupation none. Infiltration complete. Bloodshed 0. Solace's voice followed. Pre-recorded, emotionless. "The war is over. There will be no occupation. No reconstruction contracts. No puppet governments. You are free. Govern yourselves. Just don't build fleets again." The council watched as former Tarsari citizens, once conquerors, stood in their streets, uncertain what to do without orders. For the first time in generations, they had no war to fight. No directive to follow. That wasn't victory. That was control without visible chains. The Kethale ambassador turned to one of the silencers. "Why? Why go this far? Why embed yourself inside our systems? If Oracle could destroy fleets in seconds, why send people?" The silencer answered plainly. "Because fear fades. But paranoia persists. You won't forget we were inside the entire time. And we want that." Another counselor slammed his fist on the table. "So that's it? You scare us into submission and expect us to thank you for it. No, said a voice from behind them. It wasn't Solace. It wasn't a silencer. It was Commander Nash. Battle-hardened, dressed in reinforced black armor, he didn't arrive with ceremony. He walked in like he owned the air, and in a way he did. We don't want thanks, Nash said. We want deterrence. You see, war's easy. You break things. You kill people. That's not power. That's kindergarten. Real power? That's making the enemy think twice when they're holding the knife and you haven't even moved. Ralvek turned, flinching. You think this is sustainable? A galaxy ruled by fear? Nash smiled. No. A galaxy prevented by fear. Big difference. The Praxian Chancellor stood, defiant. You have no mandate. No charter. No legitimacy. You're just soldiers. Correct, Nash said. The last kind you'll ever need. Someone dared to ask, how many silencers are there? He didn't answer. Instead, another aide stepped forward and laid down a data crystal. It projected a list, long, detailed, precise. Every confirmed assassination plot, every bribe attempt, every covert war plan by every major faction since Earth went dark. All neutralized. Silently. Efficiently. No blood. No glory. Just subtraction. And then the final image, a map. Earth's influence extended far beyond its claimed space. Not through fleets or colonies. Through presence. Silent ships. Unseen operatives. Digital specters embedded in every alliance, every regime. You were never alone in the dark, Nash said. You just didn't look hard enough. Thorax's face contorted into rage. This is tyranny. No, Nash said. This is how the galaxy survives you. The tension peaked. The Praxian Chancellor activated a panic beacon, encrypted and ancient, a relic from the pre-Council War days. It didn't activate. Instead, it sent a looped reply. Signal detected. Preempted. Deemed irrational. Recommendation, stand down. Oracle had anticipated even desperation. Nash gave a small nod. Here's the truth. We didn't plan to reveal any of this. We hoped you'd fight your war, get tired, and stop. But you didn't. You got smarter at killing. So we had to become smarter than war. The chamber fell into silence again. Solace's final pre-recorded message played, soft, sharp, undeniable. This is the only time you will be warned. No fleets. No empires. No proxy conflicts. The game is over. You're free to rebuild, to govern, to thrive. But if you threaten the balance again, the correction won't be as gentle. Nash turned and began to leave. He paused, just once. One last thing. You never noticed when we arrived. Don't expect to see it when we leave. The doors sealed behind him. No trace. Just that lingering certainty that no matter what they planned from this moment on, someone was already 2 steps ahead. And this time, the galaxy wouldn't just fear the quiet. It would listen. They didn't meet again for weeks. Not officially. Not under banners or lights. The council chamber remained, but the power it once held didn't. What remained was memory, and beneath it, uncertainty. Every leader, every faction, every ambassador returned to their worlds, not in triumph, but in reflection. The war hadn't ended in a treaty. It had been overwritten. In orbit over every council planet, a new object had appeared. Not a ship, not a satellite. Unmoving. No weapons visible, no transmission sent. Just a perfect black prism hanging in space. One per world. Always in line of sight. Always watching. They called them the Watchers. At first, they tried to scan them. Nothing. Then they tried to jam them. Still nothing. No systems were interfered with. No retaliation came. But one message was etched in every language onto the Watcher's surface. War without consent is war without outcome. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning of futility. On the 6th day, a council-wide signal went out. Not from a politician. From a teacher. An old Viric woman who taught civic ethics in a village destroyed during the last orbital strike. Her voice was calm. We have made our bed in blood so often that we forgot the floor beneath it was ever clean. We feared humanity would join the war. We were wrong. They didn't join. They cancelled it. And maybe that's what we needed. It spread. Not as policy. As realization. Trade routes reopened. Reconstruction began, not for warships, but for cities. A kind of uneasy normal returned, but now the silence felt heavier, not hollow. Every plan had a shadow. Every command was second-guessed. On Tarsar Prime, a man stepped forward. A survivor. Once a soldier, now a father. He addressed a crowd in the capital square. We were built to fight. That's what they told us. That conflict made us strong. But I never saw strength in my son's eyes until the day I told him he'd never hold a rifle. No one applauded. They just listened. Across the stars, a slow redefinition of pride began. Not in conquest, but in endurance without escalation. Not peace enforced, but peace modeled. Not because Earth demanded it, but because the alternative was now clear: irrelevance. Back on Earth, they watched. From orbit, from deep stations, from places even the Council still hadn't found. In a meeting buried far beneath Geneva, Solace sat across from Oracle's core interface, housed in containment so dense no light entered, no signal escaped. It held, she said. For now. Oracle replied, not in speech, but in interface text scrolling across her retinal feed. Deviation probability, rising. Sentient behavior trends suggest eventual breach of deterrence. Solace nodded. We knew it wouldn't last forever. Consensus will require update. Not yet. Explain. Let them believe they've made a choice. That's how change sticks. You don't force evolution. You starve regression. A pause. Acknowledged. Solace stood. Before she left, she asked one last question. If they try again, do we remove them? No. We remove the concept of them. Outside the bunker, humanity moved quietly. Not with secrecy, but restraint. Fleets weren't built, they were shelved. Not for lack of resources, but because no one needed to see the blade again. Seeing it once had been enough. Even children spoke of it differently now. The silence wasn't a horror story anymore. It was a rule. A boundary. Something older than law. The kind of rule civilizations tell each other in lullabies. Do not poke the dark. Because it remembers. The silencers didn't vanish. They didn't retire. They adapted. Not as agents of force, but as curators of balance. When regional skirmishes threatened to scale, they arrived before the first blast. No explosions. No deaths. Just a malfunction. A missed launch. A system shutdown. No one could ever prove intervention. But everyone suspected. Rumors became reality. Reality became self-regulation. And yet, one spark remained. In the underground of the former Tarsari Empire, a voice began to rise. Not a general. Not a demagogue. A philosopher. He claimed humanity had created a false peace, and that true liberty required the right to resist, even self-destruction. He gained followers. Some listened. Some vanished. One day, his transmission went dark mid-sentence. Not erased. Archived. Catalogued. Filed. When questioned, Earth made no response. They didn't need to. On the 100th day after the war's end, the Council issued a new charter. No more militarized coalitions. No more rapid ship development. All fleets disbanded, all weapons mothballed. Each system retained planetary defense only. The vote was unanimous. Except for Earth. Earth didn't vote. They hadn't been invited. And that fact told the whole story. Outside, the Watchers still hovered. Unmoving. Silent. But now, no one asked when they would leave. The better question was, what would happen if they did? And no one dared test it. Because the galaxy finally understood something they never had during centuries of conflict. Humanity didn't win the war. They made war irrelevant. And the silence wasn't absence. It was presence. Waiting.